The following program contains adult language, poor taste in jokes, racial slurs, political slurs, slants, and all sorts of things that if you are sensitive and have a delicate constitution, you should probably go watch Teletubbies. You were warned.
I ain't drunk, I'm just drinking.
But you're so high.
Oh man, you know I ain't high.
But you're so high.
Yeah, well I just take a little sip every now and then.
But you're so high.
You ought to be ashamed of
Stay
yourself.
drunk all
Oh,
the
come on now,
time.
you all don't feel like that.
All right, well, what we're going to do, I think it's really more work than it's worth to slam this more than 20 mil. I just don't see it happening. So what we're going to do, I took the standoffs out and we're going to measure these down and see where we need to cut them, or drill them, I'm sorry. We're going to pop these in the vise and drill them out, all right? Nothing but a peanut, if I can find the other one. What do I do with it? There it is. Okay. We got to know where to drill. So, what we're going to do is we're going to, this, like I said, I actually have a different camera I think is going to look better than this, but that's okay. So if we slap this in here, and it fits perfect as far as, you know, you don't even need screws, just the friction helps. And then we're going to put the top on, and we're going to set it. And if we can drill it down, we can drill it down. If we can't, c'est la vie. So I want it to be right about there on that one. All right. So we're going to measure down to that. We're not actually going to measure. We're going to just scribe it. Okay. And right there, we're going to drill an M2 size hole. And we're going to line these guys up in the vise. And we got one of those little handy hobby vices. Oh, should have a V-groove in it, and it does. There's the V-groove. But that doesn't, that's irrelevant. So what we're going to do is we're going to line both of these up like this, and we're going to drill a straight shot right on through. Or we can do them independently. Oops, good way to cut your thumb off. There's another scribe for him. And we're going to go ahead and drill these through, so I'll be right back. All right, and we're back. So what we've done is we have drilled through these standoffs, all right? So you got a little bit higher than what it's supposed to be. Shouldn't be too crooked. Looks like it's gonna be, though. Fuck. All right, and what we've done is we have drilled through, I gotta clean that up a little bit, it's all right. We've drilled through these two standoffs, so they're about the same down there. A little bit of extra slop in that one, but that's okay, not a big deal. So then what you want to do is you want to put the I've been down this road before with this frame, okay? So what we want to do now is we want to put the camera on first. I'm going to clean this up. It's bugging me. You want to screw the camera into the standoffs first, and then the standoffs into the frame. Does that make sense? So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to cut some M2 screws to length. Might not even need to cut them. Yeah, we do. Okay. So there's one. We're going to go there-ish. When you've built enough of these, you kind of know. But I've only built this mod once when I came up with it for zombies. So that's what we're going to do. So should be nice and purty. So I'm going to go ahead and screw the camera in to it this way. And then we're going to screw it into the frame. So bam, be right back. All right, and we're back. So here's what we've got. And I did switch cameras. I had a blue and a red one, so I figured the red one would go better. Look at that. so that we can go straight out, straight up, just about. So, and we've got a really good fit for our top plate. I could technically take down all the standoffs down, looks like about 3 mil, 2 mil. I don't think I'm gonna bother. It's really not worth it. That's a whole lot of work to do that. Yeah, let's see. Would look pretty cool though. Maybe we will. Yeah. All right, we'll see what I come up with here. I might cut 1 or 2 down and see what it looks like first, see how big of a pain in the ass it is, and we'll be right back. Bam. Yeah, I've done the math. It's really not worth it. So I'm looking at like 1.5 mil, and I'd have to cut down 6 standoffs. It's not worth, the juice ain't worth the squeeze, as my boss would say. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the camera back off, because all of our solder points are in the front of the frame, or the front of the flight controller, right? So then we'll just leave that guy off to the side. See that? There's where our connections are. So what we're going to do first, excuse me, is we're going to cut the plastic bands to do, I'm sorry, the silicon bands to do the wire wraps. Okay, so we're going to cut some of this. Whoop. Not but a peanut. This is that silicon tape that I use that has no stick to it. It sticks to itself. It's kind of like a self-healing. And I cut it on these plastic cases because it just, you don't want to get the silicon dusty and dirty, or else it gets real shitty. So what we're going to do with this, like I said before, I don't want to braid and I don't want to twist on this particular build, because I want as little motor wire as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to go flat side. So we're going to wrap it around here, just like that. Okay. Take a piece of banding. This is lighter than a zip strip, better than a zip strip. Okay, maybe. Bam, just like that. And it flexes a little bit, which is really good. That's what we want. We want flex. When people tie strap shit down really, really hard, that's not good. Okay, so, and this stuff, like I've said 1,000 times, works only if you really stretch it. So we're going to stretch the crap out of this stuff on this end. Okay, just like that. Nice and thin, nothing fancy. Look, perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other 3. Bam, be right back. All right, and we're back and we're done with that bit. So look how clean. Boom, pretty. So that's what we ended up with. We'll tighten them up a little bit once we get everything soldered up. So realistically, the hard part is over, which is, you know, there ain't a whole lot to this bird. It's not that hard to do. So we're gonna open up our camera wire. This is how I do every one of my birds. I open these up. Okay. And this is your OSD. This is your camera voltage line, which we're not going to use. You're only using that if you've got no onboard Betaflight OSD, or Butterflight in our case. And we're just going to measure out about that far. Boom. And we're going to save that for our receiver wiring. We're going to strip all 3 of these wires just like that. And then we're going to tin these up. And I think our trusty soldering iron should be good. Look at the mess. You know, I can't, as much as I work on shit, I just can't maintain a clean workbench. I don't know what the fuck. So, anyway, as soon as I find the solder, we will commence. But what we need to do is we need to tin the entire board. We'll get rid of that. We don't need that. Let's see. So, I'm going to go find the solder. I'll be right back. All right, man, it's been a long day. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and tin this guy up. I'll zoom in. We haven't done some soldering in a while on film. Bam, film. You guys remember film? Yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and tin these guys up. Remember, you don't need solid adhesion. Now what I do is I tend to snap off the sides like that. Gives me a nice clean BB, if you will. Because at this point, all we're doing is tinning. And tinning doesn't necessarily mean covering the whole pad. You want to get solder on there for when you do the motors. Not but a peanut. Oops. That one sucked. It's okay. Been a long day. All right, cool. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and tin up the front end of the board. You guys probably can't see this. It's as zoomed in as you're gonna get. So we're going to go ground. Right there. 5 volts, right there. S-bus. And then we've got our video out, our ground, video in, our ground, which I already got, and I use the 5 volts off the buzzer. Perfect. And let's see if you guys can see this. Sorry if it wasn't in shot. And we're gonna go 5 volts over here. Bam, perfect. Nothing but a peanut. So we're going to take our camera wire, which I just stripped down and lost already. And well, we'll go ahead and do the motors first. So our motors are gonna have to go around to here. So I want to make it nice and pretty. Zoom back out. All right. Now, the one thing that I like the Cicada board. I think it's a really good board, but I don't love the fact, yeah, we'll just do it that way. I don't love the fact that you can't solder it from the bottom. Because that's one thing I like about other boards that I've seen, that I've used, is you can solder them from the bottom side, which is nice. Saves room. So how I do motors, very simple. Strip, strip, strip. Oops. All right, so we'll go ahead and tin those up, flip it over. Okay. Soldering iron on the bottom side. We're going to tin these wires up. Okay. Nothing but peanut. All right, we're going to zoom in. I'll do the first one on film. Camera. Why do I keep saying film? I think it's because it's Sunday night. Maybe. I don't know. So what I do is I grab them with the tweezers. I bend them over with my fingertip. Ooh, got some solder on there. That's not good. All right, and then I solder the lead on. Bend over with the finger. Oops. We're gonna have to redo that one. That's all right. Good enough. We'll cut the points off. Sweet. All right. So that's how we're going to do all 4 of them. I will go ahead and do those. Bam. Be right back. All right. And we're back. So there we go. There are our motor wires are complete. So all we've got left to do, pretty straightforward. I don't think I have a receiver. Doesn't that fucking figure? That's just typical JJ all over the place. So what we need to do now is we need to wire up our camera and our VTX. I'll show you where the receiver goes, close enough. And then we will do it. Not a big deal. So let me figure out, okay, there's the VTX. We'll go ahead and start with this. Now, I need to heat up the hot glue gun. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna find the camera harness, there it is, they're just stripped. So we'll go ahead and do this. It's late, it's Sunday. It's been a long weekend. My mom was here visiting, so I've been kind of out of the realm here. So I'm just basically gonna tin up the camera wire. Nothing hard. Sometimes it's easier just to do it with one hand. Not hard to do. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and trim these. Now, camera can be anywhere from full voltage to 5 volts. I actually run mine off 5 volts because if you run the camera off of battery voltage, it just has to dissipate that much more heat. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 5 volt line, or our positive line, off this 5 volt can here. And then if you look, this is going to be video in. All right. In your video in, there's video out, there's ground, there's video in right there. It's very difficult to see. So let's see if we can get a better shot for you. Video out, video in is going to be right there. So we're going to tin that one up. I actually missed it. I'm glad I double checked that. Gonna be right here. Shoink. Jinkies, as Velma would say. So there's video in. So we're going to zoom in for you. You guys have probably seen me or a million other fucking people solder up a this particular flight controller. So, and then our ground is right next to it. That is a filtered ground, so we want to make sure that's in there. Bam. There's our camera lead. Then what I do, I twist them. It's funny. I get these, you guys have seen me build quads a number of ways, right? And I build a lot of fucking birds. I don't think I know of anybody on the internet that I've seen that builds more birds than me. I mean, I build 3 or 4 a week. And I do the twists on the motor wires. I do the braids on the motor wires. I do flat lines like we did on this one where they're all flat lined on the bottom. And there's always somebody that says it's wrong. It's really funny. Oh, you can't braid them because that causes this, this, and this. And you can't go side by side because they're 3-phase and you get what's called radial capacitance, which is what I call it, not the person that told me about it. And you can't do this and you can't do that. And it's like, guys, I hate to tell you, I braid them, they work perfect, no noise. I twist them, work perfect, no noise. And I run them side by side in parallel, no noise, and they're perfect. So they are 3-phase, true, but they're not fucking 480. So take a breath. It's not a big deal. So there we go. Now, as far as this goes, I'm going to have to heat up my hot glue gun, and then I'm going to find an XT so we can put it on here. We'll be right back. All right, well, while the hot glue gun is heating up, I actually found an XT60 that was sitting around already tinned up. So we're gonna use that. We're just gonna take off the factory. Very easy to do. Save those wires for a later date. Now, get this off. Come on, kid. There we go. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna solder the ground side first, all right? So what we're going to do with these is we're going to heat on an angle and then go through the top, roll off to the back, bam. Perfect. Same thing over here. That way we don't overheat the board. Perfect. Okay. Got a plug. That was easy enough. The hot glue gun is heating up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our VTX03, and I always cut this off. I had a buddy of mine asking me a question about this today, and I always cut these off because I just don't use them. So that's your 5-volt output. I do not desolder them. It's safer just to do it that way, honestly. All right, and then we've got our nice wires. Solder. Yeah, I burned through a lot of fucking solder. I remember watching, hearing Bardwell long time ago, back when I liked him, saying, well, I buy a spool of solder and it lasts me all year. I was like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because I must build a lot of shit. My solder lasts me like 3 weeks. Alright, so go ahead and tin these up. Perfect. Alright. Now, what we're doing is we're heating up our hot glue gun, and we're going to do the VTX03 trick that I did a long time ago. And it's actually one of my most viewed videos. I don't know if that's good or bad. But what we do, let me grab some of this. Hang on. Heat shrink. Okay. This is the gluey kind. This is the stuff that has the glue in the center. I like it better. Now, this fits right over the antenna perfectly, which is what you want. You want to measure down to here, and then you want to cut up to here, about halfway up your antenna, like that. Okay? But what we're going to do, because I am keeping a dipole, this is a race bird. I do not need to put a far view on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hot glue gun now, and we're going to put a string of hot glue in here. Then we're going to slide our heat shrink over. Oh, look at that. Pretty. Alright. Perfect. Can unplug that now. I always forget to unplug my hot glue gun. Then we're going to take our heat shrink blower. Ooh, which is unplugged. Wow. I didn't think I ever unplugged that. Alright. There we go. And we're going to heat it up. Now, if you guys have never seen my other video, you might be thinking, why the hell did you put... This is a video I did a long time ago when I used to build little brushed micros and stuff, I think. They're like, why do you put the hot glue in there? Here's why. The hot glue adds a little bit of rigidity and stem value to that antenna. And the neat thing is that the heat shrink is going to keep your antenna from popping off. The hot glue is going to give you rigidity so it doesn't bounce around and give you a bunch of noise, and it will never break. But the other cool thing is you take a lighter or a little hairdryer heat shrink thing like I've got, and you can heat this thing up and it'll heat the heat shrink and the hot glue at the same time, and you can bend it into any position that you want and it stays there perfectly. It's very, very cool. Fucking great idea, if I will say so myself. So now what we've got is video out is right next to our ground, and then another 5 volts. Okay, so we're going to wire that in just like that. Nothing but a peanut. So I'll zoom in on that. I love the Cicada. I know a lot of people poo-poo it because it's not like super high-end. But I've never blown one. And they work fucking great. All right, there's our 5 volts. Perfect. All right. Believe it or not, we're pretty much done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to twist this around, because that's what I do with everything. Keeps everything nice, neat, and tight. Just like that. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we would be putting in our receiver, but they're not here yet. I'm assuming they will be here tomorrow. So I apologize for that. But the receiver is going to go right here. Ground, 5 volts, and S-bus. Those 3 right there. I will put that in later. Not a big deal. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to conformal coat, maybe. There we go. We're going to conformal coat the motor leads, just like that. And then we're going to conformal coat the battery leads, just like that. Way more than I needed there. Whoops, that's okay. We'll just give the board a skim. I don't do, I don't fly in the rain. And I know I've done a lot of videos on waterproofing your quads and all that bullshit, but it's like, unless it's EWAD or my other drone, I don't really fly in the rain. So the next thing we're going to do with our VTX, we're going to take our receiver and we're going to put it right there. Everything is pretty much wired up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to find the fucking screws for this guy. And then we're going to mount our camera wherever the hell those went. There's one screw. And, oh, I know you guys are probably looking right at it like, dumbass, it's right there. That's all right. Fucking long day. Anyway, I'm going to find that. I'm going to mount the camera back up. We're going to hook the cable in. Everything will be copacetic at that point. And then we're going to, well, before we do that, let's take our double-sided tape and a razor knife. And we're going to do this. Okay. We're going to fold it over. Whoop. And we're going to give, I don't know where I'm putting the VTX yet. So we're just going to pull half of this off. Like that, of course, bitch. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to put this right here. Perfect, all right. I'm gonna find my other screw. I'm gonna put the camera on, bam, we'll be right back. All right, there we go. So the camera is now mounted. Now all we've got to do is figure out how we're going to do our VTX, all right? So, since we've modded the crap out of this frame, we've got to kind of figure this out like that. I think we can't put it like that. Put it right there. I'm thinking that's about the only place that's going to make any sense. Just like that. Gives us a lot of good access. No issues there. So, we're going to go ahead and use, oops, these screws. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to grab a few more of those screws. We're going to button everything up. The only thing left that we have to do is stuff a receiver in there and we're done. So, which like I said, should be here tomorrow. Let me slap the rest of the screws in here. Ah, here's some right here. Perfect. And then we're going to do a prostate check on this puppy and we're going to call it a night. And the next video that we're going to do on this particular race bird is the actual setup. Because I do set up a race bird, and not that I race. We all know I don't race. I'm not a good flyer. But I do set up a race bird differently than I do a normal bird. I set the rates on the pitch differently and the roll a little bit differently as well. Because you don't need 2,000 degrees per second spinning. What you need is control. All right? And this is going to be, by the way, a two-bladed bird. A lot of juice going through this thing and a lot of power. So there we go. We'll slap some props on there real quick. These are all I've got at the moment, so this is what we're going to use. Let's do a prostate check real quick. So the prostate check is taking our meter, putting it on continuity, and we're going to plug it in to the battery. This is what you should get. Okay, one beep, and that's it. Not even. That's even better. Okay, perfect. So we can plug a battery into this baby, poof, and she's not going to blow up, which is always good. So let's pop some props on here just to see what she's going to look like. All right. You know, you got to get the full effect. We're not going to tighten everything down. Pretty quick build. I mean, realistically, the camera bit is the hardest part. And now that you've seen me do it, and this is the second time I've done it, once you get that down, yeah, the rest of it's like 2 seconds. Nothing but a peanut. And we're going to see what the dry weight is. Now, we are missing a receiver, so we got to add 2 grams for that. But other than that, my goal was to be under 250. I don't think I hit it, but we're going to find out. All right, so that's what she looks like. Here is our scale that tells no lies. 258. Motherfucker. Oh, well, close enough. Not bad. Considering this is 2700 kV 2306 motors, I don't think we're going to be disappointed. I think it'll be okay. So anyway, kids, bam, there it is. The next video is going to be on how I set this particular bird up on Butterflight. And we will see how she goes. So bam, till next time, keep shiny side up. Take care. Bye.
Bam, JJ! Hope you like fishing. Bam, JJ! Hey, JJ! Hope you like fishing.